All right, I see Denise there. I know Pandrea is on the line, so it looks like everyone on the board is present. This is a special board meeting with a specific purpose, and that's to finish up the budget submission, specifically the staffing request. I try and keep us constrained to that so that we can move along quickly, because I know you all have other things to do. First, I want to thank the board, for all the hours you put in. I mean, you've come back here for a second go round to try and give Dolores and her staff time to go gather some additional data. And I want to thank you for all you guys do every day, and for being willing to make this extra effort in terms of volunteer time. So appreciate that. Dolores, we're not going to spend, unless I have no intention to spend a lot of, as far as I can tell, there's only really one item that we need to consider. The only staffing request that you have on the table is to add the systems librarian position.
Correct.
When we adjourned 2 weeks ago or 10 days ago, I think where we were was you were looking to potentially have some additional costs to do things at College Grove, and you were also going to go get some cost and pricing data for the systems librarian position, and that's why we deferred considering these items. So in the meantime, it looks like you've taken the College Grove problem off the docket. You've solved that another way. So unless you disagree, all we have to discuss is the systems librarian. And I guess what I'd ask there is, beyond the presentation that you and Jason gave to us at the board meeting, what additional data is there for the board to consider today?
The additional data, I'll go first, Jason. This additional data is that the position I would be asking for is 55,000. It would be a direct report to me, and it would be totally funded by the new fiscal year budget. Would not use any of the volunteer coordinator money toward funding the position. So in other words, we would fill the volunteer coordinator position with the funds that are available, and ask for the additional funds for the systems librarian. Jason, you got anything to add?
Nope.
Okay. Anything else? I mean, when you say, what did you say the salary was going to be?
55.
And then what?
Plus fringe.
Sorry.
Plus fringe.
Plus benefits?
That is plus benefits, yes.
How much is that?
That raises it another 12,000.
67. Do we feel that's competitive in the marketplace?
Barely. Jason, you were going to say something. It's barely compatible, but I think it's I think
that's a fair assessment. It's a bit on the low end for systems librarians, but you know, we're kind of a skewed market because we're so close to Nashville. But yeah, I think that's competitive. A little on the low side of competitive, but probably just in competitive.
Does Nashville have this position?
Yes, they do. I believe when I checked, they were at 65 or 67,000 a year.
Huntsville Public Library, which is a system that's fairly comparable size to us, has one too. Has a systems librarian.
I guess I want to make sure if we're going to do it, I want to make sure we're competitive, that we're going to, you know, and I'm less concerned about Huntsville than I am probably about the fact that we sit next door to Nashville.
Yes, that's true.
Are we comfortable with that proposal?
I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Dolores, in the position request you gave us on the 22nd, you had the salary at 45 and the benefits are more like 16. Is that what you said benefits were a minute ago?
I don't have that piece of paper in front of me, Delois. It may very well be 16. I know the base salary was 55 and the benefits were larger than 10,000 because 10,000 is just the insurance.
I'm at the library right now. I can pull it up from the last board packet on our network drive in just a moment.
And Jason, it's also in that capital database too.
Okay, while we're waiting, is there any other discussion? Any other questions, comments?
Mr. Chair,
I
I
have a,
think if I
Go ahead.
understand this right, we're keeping the volunteer coordinator position funded and adding the new position, which is the systems librarian, and then doing some reclassifications on these other two items, the library branch manager and the Bethesda library branch manager. So it's a net of one new position. Am I understanding that right?
That's what I understand, Mr. Webb.
That's true.
So,
I have a question about the job description that was sent out today for the systems librarian. A quick overview. Everything on there, not everything on there, many things on there are currently under tech services. I know all the website job descriptions, I don't think fall under anybody, which is amazing that nobody has a job description to take care of the website. I know Jeffy's been doing a lot of that, but nevertheless, my real question here is, I think we need a revised job description for tech services because all those jobs have been taken out and put under systems librarian.
I will say that this week I'm in the process, and Rick and Pandrea are on the line too. So the organizational committee, we met last week, and this week I'm in the process of revising all of the job descriptions to make them how they would look in our ideal system, which is why I've been the one that was revising the 3 today. So I do plan actually on doing that this week, revising the technical services manager and removing all of those tasks from her job description that would go to a systems librarian in an ideal world where we have a systems librarian. And I did find that data from last time. The benefits were $16,344.50. That's 16344.50.
On $45,000,
That was on 45, yes, sir.
so
Yeah.
30% in the ballpark. I had a couple of questions about the job description too, when we get to that point. I thought it needed to be rewritten. One, it had grammatical errors in it. Two, you always need to put other duties as assigned.
That's in there.
Okay, and
Number 11. Yeah.
you could change it, and then the way it was worded, it made it sound like they were only going to be responsible for one website.
Yeah, I made those changes for the plural for websites, as you pointed out. I think you overlooked the other duties as assigned because that is in there. It's just not in
Okay.
those. But I figured the nitty gritty that when it needs to be revising, we could get into that in the organizational committee.
Sure, that's fine.
After it's submitted out.
Thanks.
So are job descriptions done in-house or are they done with HR or in combination with HR? I'm a little confused.
Do you
Job
want? Go
job
ahead.
descriptions, I I work with HR, but they come from us. So
Just when I requested them, when I made a request last summer for them, Jeffy said they came from HR.
well, what happened, Lois, was that we worked, as all the other departments did, we worked with HR on salary adjustments. And when we worked on the salary adjustments, we revamped with HR some of the job descriptions because we looked at pay rates. So that was a unique situation in that we were focusing on salary and job descriptions together to better for the county to better compete with other areas, other departments, other counties, other cities that were hiring. So that was all part of the job descriptions at that time, was all part of a larger salary adjustment plan.
Okay. Another thing is some comment, partly of this is comment, part of it's question. Today you're requesting the systems librarian position, and as a must-have position to manage the ILS system, choose another system, oversee migration, and so on. However, when you made the decision for COHA 3 years ago, who did you plan on managing the system? We didn't, I mean, 3 years into this, we are managing without a systems librarian. If it's an absolute must, who was going to do this when we purchased COHA?
Well, first of all, Delois, the systems librarian will be responsible for other things besides the ILS system. And at the time that we switched to COHA, as I had mentioned before, it was a open source system, but I thought our vendor would be able to come in and do the things that a systems librarian would normally do. However, that has, Bywater has helped us out, but it has not been at the level I thought it would be when we switched over. My mind was that Bywater was going to take most of the role of the systems librarian when it come to the ILS system, not to the other things the systems librarian does, but to the ILS system.
So is Bywater not fulfilling their contractual obligation, or did you misunderstand what they were going to do?
I would not say they haven't met the contractual obligations. I didn't know, I thought their level of support would be more than what it has been. But I can't say that they hadn't met their contractual agreement, because I would not say that. I think they have.
Last year at this time, we voted for a part-time systems librarian, setting aside the fact that I know we've been told that that's almost impossible to find somebody with those qualifications to take a part-time job. Setting aside all of that, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about as far as our vote to ask for that part-time position, whatever became of that.
I did not ask the county at the time to fund that. I went with the volunteer coordinator.
That's not true, Dolores. The volunteer coordinator had been approved the previous year. Last year, after discussions, I think the board approved a 20-hour position. I don't know what happened, but between the approval and probably execution of the budget, we experienced COVID. So I don't know whether there was ever any budget discussion on that whatsoever. Paul might be able to clarify.
Yeah, Paul, maybe. I don't remember that there was, Mike.
Was the
That could be-
20-hour position approved? And because I think that's the question, was that position approved by the commission? And was
No,
there any effort made to fill it?
no. It
There
was
were
not.
no new positions approved in the county for the current fiscal year. So
It
anything
died on
would have been the year before.
the vine.
As I recall, the county put a stop to all new positions when,
That's right. For the current fiscal year, no new positions.
Right. Okay, further questions, discussion, conversation? Okay, I'd entertain a motion to add this position to our budget request. Is anyone inclined to make that motion for me?
I just have a can I go back to the comment section?
Well, sure, I guess. I was hoping.
You want to move forward? Okay, go on.
No, that's fine. You have comments, make your comments.
No, my only comment is I just feel like the timing of this is really unfortunate. And again, I'm new, but it seems like this position is really needed. It also seems like things are disorganized as they are. And so I don't have confidence enough in the current structure to make a motion. However, I really feel like listening to Dolores and Jason, I feel like it's really needed. So I wanted just to express that to the board and to Dolores and Jason that I feel like given 6 more months, y'all could have an organizational structure and things all planned out and it would be so much better. But given that that's not there, I don't have that confidence to make the plunge personally.
Well,
So no motion from me.
Amy, that's understandable. And if it's not approved and to go forth in this budget, we'll have to wait until this time next year and ask again.
There's another option, Dolores. There's another option,
What is that?
not to add a position, to look at using a vacant position that develops on the staff and convert it to this new job. I'm going to be Rick Moody. Rick Moody's here, so I hate to speak for him, but is there something else that we're doing less of or we could stop doing in order to fund a new position rather than just rely completely on an addition?
Well, let me ask you this way. We're making our changes that I have been emailing about because these positions are vacant. So are you talking about vacant positions and switching around or positions that have people currently in them?
I'm talking about, again, I don't know what positions are currently vacant. That's more detail than the board should probably get into. But in an organization with 60 to 70 people, if this is such a critical need, is there a way to scratch the itch by combining some other jobs rather than just relying on the addition of a headcount?
There's 2 ways that I see to do that. It would be a vacant position or a position that somebody is currently in that maybe that position could be switched toward a systems librarian, but the person in that position doesn't have the skill set for it. So, that would mean.
My point was there are other options than waiting 1 year and try again. If this really is a critical need, and you believe strongly in it, there are other ways that we could move forward besides just waiting for another year to make another run.
Well, that's what I was saying. I mean, positions become vacant all the time.
Right.
So but what I was asking is, are you referring to positions that become vacant throughout the year, or are you referring to taking away somebody's job that's currently in that position to create the position for a systems librarian? That was
The preferred option is probably to have a vacant position and reallocate it for a new purpose rather than necessarily try and retrain somebody who might not have the base skill set that might be required to do this job.
I believe the only vacant position we have, aside from Jennifer's position now, which will be filled soon, we hope, is the volunteer coordinator position.
But Jason, we're a big organization.
Mhm.
People leave, people decide to do something else with their lives. There'll probably be vacant positions in our organization at some librarian level long before this budget is ever finalized.
Possibly, and Dolores can speak to this more than I could, but I don't know of any that once they're vacant we could reuse. But that again is of course for.
Well, take for example Jennifer's position. Jennifer's position at Nolensville is a public service position. And I am reluctant to take a public service position in a branch away from that, especially a manager, away from that branch to fill it with a systems librarian, especially with Nolensville being the busiest branch besides Maine in the system. So I think in my opinion, you're looking at what positions become available instead of, just a full-time position.
I agree.
Okay.
It would be a very bad decision to use Jennifer's position. You probably would have the board after you for other reasons if you made that call. But I'm just pointing out that there are other possibilities than just waiting one more year. If we look for them and put our thinking caps on. So, is there a motion on this to add the position?
Mr. Chair, I'm not making the motion, but I just want to clarify. If I understand what you're saying is you're asking the staff to go back in and look at all positions and then have the work of the system librarian either be placed upon current staff, or if there becomes an opening here in the next 18 months, which to get us back to the next fiscal year of July 22, then that's when you would put the system librarian position in. Is that what you're saying? Kind of reorganize the staff with the existing number of personnel?
Right. Or maybe a job opens up where you had 3 people working in a department and you look at how much activity there is now and you say, gosh, maybe I could get by with 2 instead of 3, which frees up a head count.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I understood it, and I did. Thank you.
That's a common practice in business. Okay. I'm not getting a motion, Dolores. So
Okay.
I guess this dies on the vine.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Rick's going to make a motion to adjourn.
Could I have one more thing? Just, I appreciate Rick's motion. Just to put it on your calendar, I want to make sure you understand these are open meetings. The Williamson County Commission budget meeting dealing with the libraries will be held April 13th at 3:30. This will cover the Brentwood, Spring Hill, as well as the Williamson County Library because they're under the library umbrella. These will probably be virtual, but you can log on. And those of you that want to, we'll make sure that you get an invitation or get instructions to log on. I've attended those from the Brentwood Library as the Brentwood chair, as well as a city commissioner for years to represent the Brentwood Library. So I was asked to make sure that this board knew These are open public meetings, and get this date in front of you. So, Mr. Chair, I'll now defer to Mr. Moody.
Before we defer to Mr. Moody, is there anyone else that has any conversation for the good of the group that has to be dealt with before our next regular meeting?
I mentioned earlier to Dolores, the staff, especially the branch managers, are requesting that we add some discussion for the holiday schedule onto this month's regular meetings agenda.
Right. There is Dolores, Janan, and I are scheduled to meet with Dolores next Wednesday morning at 9:30. Is that right, ladies? And that should be one of the items for our
Oh, good.
meeting
Okay.
preparation.
Okay.
And
The staff is,
you had already forwarded me the notification about the budget meeting. If there becomes, when the link becomes available on how to virtually attend it, will you share that with us as well, please? Okay. Mr. Moody,
Yes,
you have the floor.
I move to adjourn.
So be it. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to join us today, and we'll see you in about 10 days.
Hey, Dolores, can I ask you a question before you go away?
Sure.
I have a friend that came to the library this morning early to get some books and she couldn't get in. There was stuff in the.
What time did she come?
I'm guessing she's probably referring to the roofing. So they don't have the big crane here anymore that was getting the AC units onto the roof, but there was a smaller crane to hoist roofing materials onto the roof this morning. Definitely looked like you couldn't get into the building at all because they had the main entrance blocked off, but the back entrance was not blocked. I talked with the roofing crew. They were fine with patrons walking up to use the book drop. Didn't look like there would be any danger, but it certainly looked like there was still heavy construction going on.
Okay.
That would probably,
my friend just was coming to get some books and going out of town and couldn't get in. So
it looked like
Thanks.
that. That will probably continue for the next few days, and it
So
also
they can get
turns
in
out,
the back, go around to the side and get in.
yeah, they can go around through the main entrance. They just got to go around the crane. That will only last for a couple of days, but they also, the manufacturer for the AC units messed up a couple of things in shipping the order, so they are going to have to get the big crane out here again.
Wow.
But we won't have to close this time. They're going to put it kind of around the loading dock, so no danger of closing.
Okay. Thanks, guys. I didn't mean to keep anybody while after we'd adjourned, but I did have to tell the boss when I got home what was up.
Jason, do we need a sign if that driveway is closed? Do we need somebody out there or a sign to tell people to go to the other driveway?
Yeah, as soon as I pulled up, we and myself in circulation got it sorted out where there was signage for staff to go around. I believe Jeffy was going to send an email out as well, but then we decided not to since it was going to wrap up after today. So
okay, thank you.
Sure.
Cheers.